You've all been following politics as long as I have, and you know one thing's for certain. The Democrats won't stop. You just have to wait and see what card they're going to play. But they have no leadership right now. Everyone's silent. Hakeem Jeffries, Pelosi, who's retiring, Chuck Schumer, who's going to lead them? Oh, that's right. We got Jasmine Crockett. Let's be serious. There's no one. So I've been waiting. Who's going to come out of the shadows? Who's going to give the marching orders? And then it happens. Obama comes out and makes a statement so dangerous, so irresponsible, that no president should ever state what he said. And it's targeted directly at President Trump. And so now we know what the plan is. We know exactly how they're going to come after him. He said it out loud, folks. It was only a matter of time. And none other than Obama himself gives the marching orders. And that's the story I'll bring you in 1 minute. It all folds into what you see here. Horse blink, trumped up charges in D.C. takeover. No, it's not about D.C. now. Well, in part, I guess. It all plays into the same storyline. Because if you watch how they're starting to write up these articles, you know I use mainstream media for what it is, which is a mouthpiece for what's happening underneath it. Defendants are looking at felony charges that could have been minor disorderly conduct. Really? Oh, I can't wait to see the examples you're going to give me. Crystal Rios Esquivel. She walked through a door marked staff only and set off an alarm at the National Zoo. She was arrested for unlawful entry. She spat at 2 officers and kicked one, which they qualify, I guess, as disorderly conduct, not a felony charge. Now, if I kicked an officer, if I punched an officer, I'm pretty sure I would be charged with a felony and not disorderly conduct. But I guess in Washington, D.C., it's entirely different. I guess there's a degree of entitlement there where you can do whatever the hell you want. You could throw sandwiches at an officer and you just get off with, oh, that's right. You do get off. But again, this all plays into a different narrative. Just hang in there with me. We're going to develop this story to what Obama did. Mark Thomas Bigelow had an open container of alcohol in a parked van. Okay, not a big deal, right? But as they arrested him, he struggles with the cops. He kicked an FBI agent. And he kicked another FBI agent in the leg. Again, if I did that, more than likely I'm going to be charged with a felony. I would expect to be. But HuffPost is saying this is absolutely out of order, over the line. On Wednesday, Edwin Jonathan Rodriguez possessed a firearm. But it's okay, right? Because he had a Maryland concealed carry permit. Except any of you that have a concealed carry permit know that there's rules that come with that. And one of those rules would be that you can't have 17 ounces of marijuana in the car with you, which he did. But if I read the headline correct, some of these should be minor disorderly conducts, but they're being charged with felonies. You see what they're doing here, right? They're vilifying Trump and his administration for what they're doing, but it appears nobody in D.C., when you're reading the articles and publications, are complaining about the cleanup of crime in D.C. The only people who are complaining about it, well, is the mainstream media. There must be a reason for it. But I haven't seen the marching orders come out yet. There will always be marching orders, and the left never stands down. Trump is weaponizing the government against his enemies. It doesn't mean he'll succeed. From Politico, HuffPost and Politico, the two you notice I watch very closely because I'm always waiting for the marching orders to come out. And then lo and behold, out comes Barack Obama. Yesterday, referencing an article we're going to cover here shortly. This interview, which is also available to listen as a podcast, provides a useful overview of some of the dangerous trends we've been seeing in recent months regarding federalization and militarization of state and local police functions. Opinion piece. Trump is building his own paramilitary force. Coming from an ex-president of the United States of America. Do you know the danger in that statement? I'll define it for you. Because what he just did there is gave you now the exact attack that he is outlining for the left to take, not only into the midterms, but beyond, because I believe Mr. Barack Obama is getting a little aggravated that Trump's getting away with it. He just forgets that we, the people, are supporting exactly what he's getting away with. And we're going to dive into what this article says and exactly how dangerous this statement is, because that's not his only statement. Before I do, thank you all. The channel continues to grow, and so I will continue to thank you for helping to beat the algorithm. You showed who's boss, and because of that, we've been allowed to be seen again. And subscribers are growing, and memberships are growing, and that is because of you, and only you. You make that happen by subscribing, by making sure your bell is checked to all, by providing comments, by providing shares, and none of that costs anything. And I see all of you, those of you who can't afford to get to Restricted Republic, the platform we created, our news channel. It's okay. I understand everybody has the means. By doing those simple steps for me, you're still supporting the news and making sure that people get the news in the way we present it. So thank each and every one of you. There's so many ways to keep these lights and cameras on. That's one means. And I also want to thank Chapter. Man, this continues to grow and accelerate. People continue to write me and thank me. So thank you so much for that. They are an amazing company. These are Medicare licensed professionals. By making a free phone call. It's that easy. I know it's free. 805-619-5011. Many people don't even know they're not on the right Medicare plan. Some people are. I see that too. I got the best plan. You might have the best plan. I get that. But what does it hurt to make a free phone call and with most people, under 20 minutes, find out if you truly do have the best plan? Because if you don't, you have a money savings opportunity, and Chapter will tell you if you do. For under 20 minutes on a free phone call. I don't know if it gets any easier than that. The average person who calls 805-619-5011 saves $1,100 a year in a system that is designed to take from you. Isn't it nice to take something back? Now you see why I let them sponsor these videos. And thank you, Chapter. This has been one of the best ones, and I could tell by the comments and the feedback I get. I want you to call them today. Again, 805-619-5011. Take about 20 minutes of your time. It's worth it for you or for a loved one. Just let them know. It's the easiest phone call to make. It's live people. It's not bots. But now let's get back to this video. Okay, so back to this before we get to Obama, which we're going to go very in-depth on. Trump is weaponizing the government against his enemies. What was this article about? Oh, it'd be about none other than John Bolton. Boy, this story's falling apart, huh? Because it turns out that this actually, began initially under Trump and then took speed under the, you got it, Biden administration. It wasn't even Trump who kicked it into high gear. Boy, that just killed the mainstream narrative now, didn't it? John Bolton, inquiry eyes emails obtained by foreign governments. It picked up momentum under the Biden administration. Who had to report on that was the New York Times. Oh, that had to hurt, didn't it? I guess a lot of people forget about some of these tapes. Did you see this? What was he doing here exactly in this tape? You see him up in the top left side of the screen, right? I'm going to turn off the volume real quick. And these guys are from Syria. I think they knew John McCain too. What happened in that? Did you catch that? Don't worry, I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to go full screen. I mean, it appears something came out of that gentleman's pocket. At least it appears. Innocent until proven guilty. It appears it went down into his hand, and it appears, at least from the video, that had made an exchange. I know a lot of people don't even know this tape exists and wonder why so many people are questioning if some of those emails made it to a foreign country and why he's under investigation and why it continues as an investigation. Charges haven't been filed, so everyone's innocent until proven guilty, but I'll give you a chance again to watch this because so many people, I'm amazed, don't even know this tape exists and why so many people have questioned John Bolton over the years. It does look a bit unusual, doesn't it? Walk away. Walk away, John. One more time, and then we'll move on with this broadcast. There you go. Wonder what that is. Man, some things just don't look good for you. But we'll move on. Because everybody's focused right now on Chicago. They were focused on California. It's all the same story, isn't it? And then they were focused on D.C. too, cleaning up crime. How dare Trump do that? You've heard the talking points, right? Trump doesn't have a right to do that, although the people in D.C. are thanking him for it. And the people that are trying to shut up in Chicago are calling for it because no one in Chicago is doing anything about it, although they say they don't have a problem. Of course, they said they didn't have a problem in D.C. either, but we're seeing by the arrest and the thank yous that they did. So how does this play into, what Obama had to say? Well, it's the same thing that Newsom said. And it's the same thing that Chicago's saying. It's the same thing that Politico's saying. And it's the same thing that HuffPost said. Well, when you have all the people saying the same talking points, well, then you have what I call an attack plan. And you didn't really have it official until Obama came out and gave the order. But I'll let you hear from Newsom first so I can tie it all together because now we know what they're going to do and how they're going to attack during the midterms and how they're going to attempt to defuse Trump. Listen and hear to Newsom for a minute.
You have the largest private police force in the world. When they're done with this, all that funding and that big, beautiful betrayal allows more resources for this private police force that increasingly is showing a tendency not to swear an oath to the Constitution, but to the President of the United States.
Oh, private police force. Big words from Governor Newsom. ICE, the National Guard, all these agencies, and they are all intruding on your rights because we've seen a lot of evidence of that so far, haven't we? All across the country, we've seen evidence of that. We've seen violations of rights. Actually, I haven't seen a whole lot of evidence of that yet. I've seen a lot of criminals arrested. Will there be mistakes? Of course there's going to be mistakes. But that's what the courts of law are there to sort out. But back to Barack now. Because none of this was anything until, of course, Obama comes out. Because, Gavin doesn't really get his message across too well. Because nobody takes him seriously. Although he wants you to think they take him seriously. So back to Barack. This interview, which is also available to listen as a podcast, provides a useful overview of some of the dangerous trends we've been seeing in recent months regarding federalization and militarization of state and local police functions. Sourcing the opinion piece of Trump is building his own paramilitary force. Not the only quote. The erosion of basic principles like due process, stating that Trump is taking people and throwing them straight into prison and they are not ever allowed to see a courtroom. That's what's being stated there. Do you believe that? That they aren't being allowed due process? That's funny because in that HuffPost piece, and the guy who threw a sandwich at an agent that was let go in a courtroom would be due process. And the other three people that were let go in a courtroom would be due process. So, Barack, irresponsible much? Because this is your responsibility from an ex-president of the United States. Very dangerous, mind you. And the expanding use of our military on domestic soil puts the liberties of all Americans at risk. All Americans, huh? I'm pretty sure Trump's going after criminals or illegal immigrants. I mean, at least as I've seen it thus far. Just because those that feel entitled to go after officers on the streets because, frankly, well, they're just jackasses. Well, that doesn't mean all Americans to me. That means criminals and jackasses. But I guess you can define it as something different now, can't you? Well, no, actually, you just like to use incendiary words. As an ex-president of the United States, that's, well, not only immature, but irresponsible and extremely incendiary. But you know that, don't you? You do know exactly what you're doing because you're a little bit upset that your Democrats aren't doing enough about it and they're sitting back and being too quiet. So you're giving them their action plan. And should concern Democrats, there you go. And of course you throw and Republicans alike in there to make it appear a little softer because you're such a good orator, aren't you? But you see, that was the olden days where people didn't speak up. And nowadays, well, frankly, I just don't give a damn what you think. And no one gives a damn what you think anymore because, frankly, you're irrelevant. But unfortunately, you have enough minions who still believe you mean something, which is sick in itself because you don't mean anything. Especially now that we'll just call you out for what you just did there. But let's go a little further because I'd also like to point out the hypocrisy in your very statement. Because you're complaining that Trump is militarizing National Guard and local police forces to get crime off the street. You're doing that. You're the man, of course, who got rid of military gear and limited the use of military gear in police forces, mind you. And I understand that, right? Some people even agreed with you doing that because nobody wanted militarized local police forces. But weren't you the same man, amongst many other in your party, who militarized, well, government agencies? Because you were. I could give my audience a few simple examples for those that may have forgotten about the militarization of certain government agencies. As a matter of fact, you even got called out by Forbes for it. Why are federal bureaucrats buying guns and ammo? $158 million spent by non-military government agencies, such as the Internal Revenue Service, because IRS agents are allowed to carry AR-15s, P90 tactical rifles. Recently, the IRS armed up with $1.2 million in new ammunition. That was in addition to the $11 million between 2006 and 2014, or the Small Business Administration that spent thousands of taxpayer dollars to load its gun locker with, new Glocks. Man, don't get that SBA loan, huh? Back when Obama was in office. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service modified their Glock with silencers. Could only imagine why they needed to do that, huh? And the Department of Veteran Affairs, who for most of their life cycle didn't have any weaponry whatsoever. Newer police force. In 1996, the VA had 0 employees with arrest and firearm authority, 0. But during time of this publication, they had 3,700 officers armed with millions of dollars worth of guns and ammunition, including AR-15, 6-hour handguns, and semi-automatic pistols, or the HHS. Don't miss your doctor's appointment. They can carry sophisticated weapon platforms. The HHS gun locker is housed in a new National Training Operations Center. So I guess for you, Mr. Obama, it was okay for government officials to be armed to the teeth and trained, but those local law enforcement officials, man, you just want to make sure they were able to stand down and shut up. That's pretty scary to me. I mean, not really, in my opinion, how the Constitution was written or how our founding fathers meant it to be. So I'd like you to take a back seat and just shut the hell up for me if you wouldn't mind. Because I believe President Trump is doing a pretty damn good job. And if you wouldn't mind just keeping your opinion to yourself, and us constitutionalists over here would certainly appreciate that. But don't worry, Trump already kind of told you that himself, because he rescinded your limits on transferring of military gear to police way back when, in 2017, I believe. Yeah, it was 2017 when he did that. And he's rolling forward today to even move forward, because you Democrats aren't real good about law and order. Well, somebody has to be, because the people in the cities are asking for him to be. And he's simply doing what he committed to and what he ran on and what we voted him in to do. But I know that makes you real unhappy now, doesn't it? Because, as Red State put it, you're living in a fantasy land. But that doesn't mean it's not a dangerous fantasy land. Because Trump is building his own military force. He's not simply enforcing what he ran on and doing what we the people asked him to do, which is a challenge for you, because it's in stark opposition to what you would do. But you weren't elected into office, and nor was Kamala, and nor was Biden. I know you're having trouble really dealing with that. Rather, you're referencing this article, that Trump is building his own paramilitary force, that states, I see the evisceration of due process. I see detention centers being built with it's extraordinarily hard for lawyers and families to reach the people inside. I see, the detention centers you're referring to are for illegal immigrants that are being deported. Just to keep it clear here, I don't want you convoluting the fact that you're trying to make people think that they're just ripping people off the streets who are American citizens and throwing them into detention centers. I know you tried to do that there. Not going to allow that to happen, okay? I see men in masks refusing to identify themselves and pulling people into vans. I see armed U.S. troops in camel, some on horseback, riding through MacArthur Park in Los Angeles like they're an occupying army. I see Trump sending in armed forces to take over the American Capitol. Do you see the imagery they're portraying there? And hence you have your new attack on the Trump administration, pushed now by Barack Obama himself. It's official. And now, as could be predicted, out comes the artist in Hollywood. Neil Young confronts Donald Trump in his new song on big crime, Don't Want Soldiers on the Streets. It is always the same song and dance. It never changes. It's the same script. I was just waiting for it. And now it's playing out, as always. But don't worry. President Trump remains steadfast and resolute, as I knew he would. Because you think he's going to back down? Nope. Governor Pritzker had 6 murders in Chicago this weekend. 20 people were shot, but he doesn't want to ask me for help. Can this be possible? The people are desperate for me to stop crime. Something the Democrats aren't capable of doing. Stay tuned. President Donald J. Trump. So, my friends, I'll continue to be here and piece what we have studied our entire lives to watch, to recognize, and to report on. And when I see Barack Obama come out and give the order, I'll be the first to report it to you. Because to me, it's like watching a flare go off in a night sky. It's easily spotted, easy to report, so that you can recognize what's happening. I hope you appreciate it. I want to see it in the comments below. If you believe it's something different, tell me. Was it a warning? Or was it simply just a rogue tweet? I can't wait to see your opinion. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justice Knight, signing out.